Welcome back to Bayona's RC World. In today's video, we're going right into part 5 of the build series of the Planes Revive Giant Scale P47 Razorback. So don't forget to click that like, subscribe to the channel, and share the videos. Don't forget to comment. This is what I've done since the outro of part 4, and same day, just basically continued on. And I was supposed to start on the bottom portion of the fuselage, and I decided to go ahead and do the canopy fairing supports. Trying to figure out if I'm going to do a sliding canopy with this, or am I just going to put the cockpit interior and just patch it down. So I'm still thinking right now at this point, and of course, you know me, I'm always gonna go bigger. By thinking about doing all that, I had to see how am I going to do the rails on this. It's going to be easier to do while the bottom of the fuselage is not there. Going to have to think about all this ahead of time. So this is what I got. I went ahead and I cut the canopy out. Nothing here is, this is not glued. This is just a side piece that I put on there that you're supposed to do. I also needed to see how high that needed to be to reach up to the canopy, and to also find out where the rails are going to be here. So if I need to bring this up higher, I think the rail is going to be right in this general location. More than likely the rail will be flat. I don't know. I'm still thinking, guys, still thinking. And so also thinking about this back end right here and how the canopy kind of supposed to hug that fairing just like that. That's why if you glue it down, I guess it's easier. But if this thing is attached to a rail, it's gonna come in like that anyways. And so if it does slide open, it will slide open like that all the way to about right here. So the rails would have to extend maybe about up to there to there. So I don't know, we'll see. Because I also got to cut, of course, got to cut this portion right here. And so, as you can see, the outline as well. And so what I did was I followed the instructions on that. I did the side fairing and all that stuff. And I cut the sheet. I did all that. Right about here, that's where it ends, and it's flush mounted, you know. So all this is straight. What I did was I cut this further down by just following this line and the canopy, and I just gutted it out, really. Went all the way around to the opposite side. So that's all I did. You know, this technically should have been a continuous straight and then kind of slants down this way. But instead I went ahead and I just took the T-bar sander and cut it down slightly. And it kind of gives it that continuous outline all the way around. And then when this canopy goes on there, it's gonna look like that once it's all cinched down and stuff. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start by putting all this together. As you can see, it's already together, but it's just it's all tabbed in, you know, and this is, you know, all gonna get glued on to the existing formers that's in the top portion of the fuselage. So let's get started, guys. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and start building the bottom of the fuse. And so we're going to grab our lower left crutch, and this is our lower right crutch right here, our right lower crutch. So we're going to basically take this and we're going to assemble it like you saw earlier. So we got to do, this is 5B. 5B is over here at this end. And just remember, keep the embossed letters facing forward of the model. This is 2B. So 2B is going to go right here in this area. Just like that. And we got 4B. And 4B is right here. And we got the emboss number and letter facing forward. So it's going to be facing that way. Then we have two small 3Bs, which is going to go here on the side like this. So this one like that. Unfortunately, one of the 3Bs cannot have the letter facing forward, because if you do, you will never get this the right direction. So one of the 3Bs has to face back. What else here? We'll just also have the F1 ready. But other than that, now it's just going to go ahead and oh yeah, we got the fuel tank, the tank floor. Okay, so we're going to just put these formers in their respective locations and test fit. So this is LLC. LLC is right here. This is LUC. So you got the lower upper crutch, and this is the lower left lower crutch. And this is the right going over the right. All right. So just like that. All right. And so of course we're going to have to put in 4B first. Let's go put 4B in there. Because all this is all interlocking and stuff. So we got 4B. And let's go put 2B. Okay. That's that, and that's that. Okay. And we're making sure as well that these formers, they do align with their upper former mate. And then we're going to go ahead and do the tank floor. Gotta also make sure that this goes in the right direction because of the angle of the thrust angle, and it only fits really one way because it's all tabbed in. Okay, there you go. There you go. So that fits. We'll go ahead and put F1. So far, so good. Everything lines up. And here's F5, which will go in like that. Tab into this as well. Just like that. All right. And then, of course, this other side's going to go in here. Just like so. Once I can get this thing in there, there you go. Okay. So as far as all that concerned, that whole assembly goes together perfectly. So let me just go ahead and bring you a little closer here so you can also see what I'm seeing. As you can see, all that is on there. And see, so all these are going to be tabbed in place, and we just got to go around and make sure that they're all in alignment so that we can glue the joints and all of this and get it all connected to each other. So it'll be one solid construction once it's all glued together. Also, just double checking, I'm informing making sure that the formers, top and bottom, they do align. And if they do not align, then you're going to have to either make notches a little bit wider. But yeah, as you can see, there is 5B, 4B, the 3B, two 3Bs. And then you got your 2B, or not 2B, and they got F1. So there you go. So it looks like everything fits well. So we're going to go ahead and use medium CA and CA that all together. Probably going to use some tape as well, just to kind of help hold it together. Alrighty. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start gluing. So we're gonna do this, and we're just gonna call it done for today, because been doing this whole build. Back is still killing me, neck is still killing me, so I'm gonna get some needed break here after we glue this portion on, so we can actually remove that. Let's go remove F1. So we need to glue what we can glue in now. We glue in. That looks really good right there. And then what I'm gonna do is grab a ruler and put it like that to make sure when we do put the glue that it is completely straight up and down. All right. So there's the glue all the way out there, right? To kind of make sure. Okay. All right. That's that. Let's go glue the 3Bs. Just double check, make sure. Yeah, so far so good there. Where's that other 2B? 2B or not to be? Where did the other one go? Alrighty. Playing hide and go seek with me. I take it. Alright. Hey. Jesus. You see that, guys? You can tell it's a long day. Yeah, I was right there. Jesus. Okay. Yeah, it's time. It's time to take a break, guys. Let me go ahead and finish this. And we definitely gonna have to take a break here, because I went from closing out video 4 straight into video 5. No break in between, besides messing around doing the top part of the fuse, which I should know better. We don't need to be doing that right now, but kind of exciting. So I think that's the only formers we can put on right now that will allow us to just drop this in. So this is LLC, which is this side. Oops, this side here. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to do former 2B as well, because we're not going to be able to put 2B in there once it's glued. So we're going to have to kind of do all that in one shot. Let's go grab one here. Okay. I'm gonna fit this down in there. Make sure it's all the way down. Where it's supposed to be. Okay. Make sure all of this lines up as well. There's that one. There's that one. Jeez. Okay, that's all the way down. For some reason this feels like it's not all the way down. All I do is slide this one way. Let me grab my CA applicator. Let's go put some medium CA to the length of this. Might have to use some kicker on this one just to get it to stay. Okay, squeeze that together so it can hold better. So far, so good. Put a little bit of kicker there. Really hold that together. Okay. I'm just gonna go and do the other side now. I'm just gonna put the tank floor on there. All right. Let's go next door. All right. Let's take that off for now. Let me go ahead and kind of move this to the side. Let's go put some medium CA on this former. Okay. Let's squeeze that together. Okay. Just like that. Whoops. Okay. Then we got 5B. 5B. Making sure the embossed letter and number is facing forward. Okay. Okay. There's wicking some CA right here, this joint. Go around the other side. Take care of that side as well. Okay. Perfect. Okay. I think that's solid. Yeah. That ain't going nowhere. Now we just gotta make sure we put glue up here, because that doesn't look like it's being held. Okay. Now we'll do the fuselage top. Close that way. I don't know if this thing still gonna falls in play with the no gluing of the past F1. But I'm just gonna go ahead and do the same thing. Make sure I don't glue. Oops. I just said I'm not gonna glue that. I'm gonna end up trying to put glue there. Dummy. Okay. Got that glued down. Okay. There you go. And then F1. For F1, I think I want to use epoxy. Maybe it's not going to be necessary to use epoxy on F1 because there's going to be, if I'm mistaken, there's going to be tri-stock over here as well. I have to double check that. But anywho, for the most part, that's all glued in. And then from here, we can start putting all the formers to the rear. Once this is, yeah, we're good. We're good there. I think we can also put 5D former. I think I'll wait till later because that's right up here. All right. we're going to go ahead and knock this out as well. Okay, let's go ahead and put the rest of these formers on. So we got 9B, or excuse me, 6B, number and letter facing forward. Okay. Just making sure that this is touching the stringer, because if it's not, then we have to sand a little bit of the metal just so that it can clear. There you go. That feels way better now. It's actually touching. Okay. Put this on. Make sure we get the good alignment here and here on both sides. It's going to be the most CA activator you're ever going to see me use on any model. I really don't care to use activator, but this ply, it needs to soak in between the sheeting of the ply. And once you put the CA, it kind of soaks into that. So of course it's going to strengthen the ply pieces. And then once that fills up, then of course it's going to allow the CA to bead on top of that surface. So we got 7B, letters facing forward. Just double check, make sure that that's touching the stringer on both sides, and it is. Okay. 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 Now I've got 8B. This one is a pretty good fit. And also, just to note, if it's not completely, vertical, um, you can still correct that when we put the stringers on. So we're gonna make sure when you put the stringer, and if it needs to be tweaked, turned, or whatever, twisted, then that's the time you do it. The minute you glue it to the stringer, then whatever twist is on that former, you locked it in there. That's on 9. Just making sure that it's touching the formers, touching the stringer. I think we're good there. And most of these formers, and I did sand them smooth, so you could see all the corners, and especially the glue joint areas. I did sand them. All right, so that's that. Also, as a side note, if you look, I also kind of did this ahead of time. The intercooler holes that we got to cut out, I also drew the line already, and I'll show you how I did that. Okay, so for the intercooler, let me go ahead and bring you closer there. So for this, the intercooler area, what I did was I took drawing paper to the plans, the top view plans, and I traced out exactly where that cut needs to happen. And I made a template, therefore placing it between former 7B and 6B, exact location. Then I traced it out, and then now we can actually cut that. Also, before you do that, you got to also cut out from your scrap ply a piece that's, I believe it's 1/2 inch by 5 13/16, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that just yet. Let me double check. Yeah, it's 1/2 inch by 5 13/16, 1/8 ply. And so I did that. This is from just your scrap ply pieces here, and then from there, once this is cut open, this is going to get glued to the backside just like that. So that's what's going to continue the bridge for this main stringer, while this piece is missing, because once you're done, when this is completely sheeted, you're going to continue on that cut hole, for the actual dimensions, which is in the manual. But I wouldn't cut it with this ply on there. I'll cut it after, so I can actually saw it this way. Because if you put this on now, that's going to be hard for you to cut that. So we'll do that once we get to that stage. And next thing is next, of course, is gluing 5D, which I did that already, and the wing saddle. So now we got to glue the wing saddles on, which is, let's go zoom back out here. And these are the wing saddles right here. We have to glue that in place. As a matter of fact, now I think we're gonna have to glue 5D. So let's go ahead and do that. the heck? Okay, make sure that's all the way down. It's all the way down and touching. And this one, I'm just gonna go ahead and squeeze that CA in there. All right. And then we're gonna go and glue this on. Before we glue this one, this is one part I did not sand yet. I gotta actually sand this. So let me go ahead and sand this real quick, and then we'll be right back. All right, so now we're just gonna go ahead and glue this on. Okay. Okay. Let's go put some more glue here, because, like I said, the ply is so fresh that it soaks in the CA. Okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's been a long day. Yeah, it's been a long day. Oh my time. Okay, so I just basically just started popping stringers on here. So nothing special. You're gonna have to splice two of them, which is basically this bottom stringer on both sides. In the instructions, it shows the stringer being spliced right above the intercooler, which is gonna be right here. I see no sense in having it spliced all the way over there. So I took the 30-inch stringer, made the bevel for that, ran it all the way until wherever it ended, and then took some scrap and made my splice right there. I mean, it makes no sense to cut it all the way over here to do that. So yeah. Other than that, if you notice, I like I said in the beginning, I don't have the Robark tail wheel, but I am going to get one. And like I said, the use of the Robark tail wheel on this one, it just makes it easier because it's really self-explanatory. The other models I see when I was looking at online, you're gonna have to make new rails, do the whole thing, and if I'm gonna wait to order that and for it to come in, I won't be able to enclose anything here. So um, the build stops, before I even put the stringers on. I couldn't do nothing, and so by utilizing the Robart tail wheel, I can go ahead and get it exactly like what it is on the plans, to include the screw holes for, like I showed earlier. Everything is based off of this exact Robart tail gear. So other than that, got everything done up on there. None of these stringers are glued in yet. I am, however, going to glue the front stringers here because they're really, I got, don't need anything here. But I do need to wait for my push rods to show up. So I need push rods to put into the fuse there. And that one that I got here right now, this is, I'm not even using that. That one I just put in there just for, you know, shits and giggles, really. I'm gonna pull that out. Other than that, before we glue all these stringers in, what I did was I came back in here, I put my metal ruler, make sure it touches that bottom former, put it all the way to the top, and make sure it's straight. You see that? Because prior to me doing this, and I just popped on those stringers, this top F2 was kind of canted like forward like that slightly. So make sure that you double check from former to former that everything is pretty much straight. And so from there I can go ahead and glue that. I also check the front of F1, just basically just like this, just looking, sighting it from there to there. That looks straight. So we're good there. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and glue all those stringers on. I'm not going to glue these stringers just yet because I need to be able to get my hands in there. So maybe if I do glue something, I'm just going to glue, maybe I'll leave this one stringer out and maybe this one stringer. So these two stringers right here I'll leave off so I don't have to glue that on. That way, if there's anything that I need to do in here, like put the rods in, I can still grab it and guide it through without having to try to reach through like that. What I am doing right now is outlining the inside stringer where I need to cut the sheeting for the backside from former 6 back to the training edge. So the sheeting needs to go midway on this spar right here, or stringer, excuse me, all the way to 6, former 6. And so I already got the sub stringer down here, the main stringer. I got that with the sheeting nice and flush, same way we did the top side, same techniques and everything. And then from there, I went ahead and I taped it on here, and I'm just pushing it like that. And then I took my Sharpie and just traced out the location of the stringer, the top side. And then once we get that, we come back and we remove this. So we're gonna find that line there. Now what I got to do is go 1/8 below this line and make another line, and that's where my cut mark will be. But just remember, like I always done before, we make the line, but we're not cutting at the line. We're going to cut before the line, and then we will fine tune it with the T-bar sander to that line. That way we can ensure we get a proper fit all the time. So we're just going to cut it directly at the line. The chances of you being spot on the first time is highly unlikely unless you're just badass at, cutting and everything. Then, let the force be with you. But unfortunately, I'm talking for the vast majority of us who don't possess that type of special skills. Like I said, I draw crooked. Crooked lines, no matter what. Even if I were to try to trace it with a ruler, I'll still draw it crooked somehow. All right, so here is the outline, right? So all I have to do is just kind of connect the blanks here. These blanks are where the formers are at. And so what I need to do now is just measure, because we need to be at 1/2 of this stringer, roughly around there. So I would just, since this is a quarter by quarter, I'll just go 1/8 down right in this area, and I'll just follow that line, and that's where we'll cut this line that we traced, but then we'll sand to the new line, and then we'll just keep trial fitting it, making sure that we're good to go. All right. All right, so we just finished outlining that sheeting for this side, and I'm going to show you the how tight this is against this stringer, this main substringer right here. So we are centered on former 6, and former 6 is just like former 5, where we took scrap 3/32 sheeting and we sandwich the former up here. I still need to do all the way up here, but I'm not sheeting up here yet. So we sandwich this to give more meat for the sheeting splicing from sheeting to sheeting. We just give it more area for it to glue and everything. Okay, but if you look carefully at the stringer, the bottom side, just being relaxed, that's how closely tight we have it. I mean, there's literally no gap this full length right here. No gap. Meaning just nicer looking sheeting. Let me see if I can get closer. You see that? So let me just go ahead and, this is how it would be glued in, just like that. Just tight fit all the way through. And then we'll put thin CA, we'll wet it, and then we will drizzle in some medium CA on the formers and the stringers, and then we will basically just form this to the fuse once we get this cut. So let's go ahead and take care of that. Also, I already had final sanded the stringers and the former from here to the front. I didn't bother here yet because I've been looking online. My normal place that I order all my supplies from, they're all out of stock of the 440 Sullivan goldenrod set with the sheath and the actual rod. And I looked on Horizon, I looked on Tower, they're all into August. Next shipment for the 440. And so SOL at this point, I really need to sheet this, but at the same time, I can't move forward until we get those control rods so that I can insert them into their appropriate slots so that they can protrude out on this end so that I can also finish this up before we actually fully sheet this thing. Because even if I were to sheet it right now and try to later on, once I get the control rod sheet, in other words, these bad boys, and I don't have enough of these, and so I'm looking for the 440 rod version of this. It has this plus the 440 rod running through and the clevises and everything like that. I'm going to just sheet right up to here on this side and all the way up to the front. This one is not glued in on both sides. I didn't glue it in at all. And the reason for that, so that I can still access this in here. I can easily still fish it through, and then we can finish sheeting it up. Also, I drilled out all the holes for my pneumatic retracts, which I still don't have at this point because I'm still trying to figure out which one. I also need to get more, airlines and stuff, but I went ahead and I drilled out the holes for that to reach to the tail gear all the way to the front. And so we made sure that's good to go. Other than that, yeah, once I'm done sheeting this whole side from back here to the front, there's not much I can do else on this fuselage. And so we're just going to have to start on the build of the wing. At least get the wing built up to eventually a certain part, more than likely where the retracts come in. Pretty much where we're going to be at. Once I sheet this side of the fuselage, I can't move further until I get my hands on 440 Sullivan 440 golden rods. All right, so we got it cut. We also got it sanded to the line, and I test fit it a few times, so we're good to go to glue it on. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and center it at my mark here for the continuation splice. I'm going to pull down on the sheeting, get it really tight against the stringer. Okay. Get it really tight against the stringer and then pull it down. I mean, I'm still gonna push it down with my hand, but the tape just kind of helps me kind of keep it there. Okay, I don't need to do the rest. All right. Let's do that. Grab my thin CA. Grab me my Windex to soften up the sheeting there. And some paper towel. All right. I also got this thing kind of tilted. Put all these cushions right there, just like that, so I can put pressure. All right, so first things first, let's go glue the sheeting down to the stringer. Once the glue is down on that one, I can remove tape. That way I don't accidentally get some CA on the tape and it gets stuck to the sheeting. Maybe I didn't need the tape. Well, keep it pushed down, really pushing it down into that stringer. Okay. Oops. Okay. So for the most part, it's looking pretty good. Let's go move you guys a little bit over here so I can work further down the line here. Try not to make a mess, but it is what it is. All right. And this one right here, I need to put a little bit of sheeting to fill that piece up or something like that. Just put something in there. Just like that. Okay. Now that we got that fully tacked on there, now what we gotta do is wet the sheeting so we can bring it up. Okay, now also here, you notice I left this one kind of long. This sheeting is gonna end right about here. So I need to cut this right here. Making it harder for myself. I don't know why. Let's just make it go straight. Because eventually we're going to put another sheeting on top of this one. There you go. Don't need to do all that hard corner stuff. So the next sheeting, we'll just stop it right here and it'll wrap around. That way it'll just be a nice clean edge all the way. Okay. So now, let's get it soaked quick. I don't want to use my hands because I don't want to start shaping the sheeting. All right. So just like that, we're going to start down here and we'll eventually just push our way up. Start down here, push our way up. Cool. All right. Now let's just get some medium CA. Let's go do this. Okay. Drop some CA on the stringers. Okay. Oops. Let's go. Start wiping this edge here so we don't build up a bead that becomes hard to connect the next sheeting. Okay. There you go. Let's sheet it in. Just like that. All right. Let's go take you over here. Now you can take a look at that as well. As you can see, it's very tight against that bottom main stringer. And then we do have roughly about 1/8 exposed stringer for the next sheeting from here over. Okay. And so, like I said, this one, eventually this stringer will go here once I figure out which one this one went to. And this is the other side. This is already pre-cut. There you go. And this will go here. So eventually the next sheeting will be from here up. But yeah. And then as you can see, the intercooler, that's the center. And so to finish this off, eventually we're going to get the measurements from the manual, and then we're going to cut this open all the way like that. But yeah, we're going to do the other side, and then after we do the other side, the back end is sheeted as far as the two sides. We will take this one right here, well, maybe not this one, a 36-inch sheeting, 3/32 by 4-inch by 36-inch, and this is the one that's going to cover or sheet from back there to the front. Okay, and if you're gonna notice on this one, it doesn't completely cover or sheet all the way up to this bar. All right, guys, so what I'm doing right now is just pretty much popping on the sheeting up here for the forward sheeting. And as you can see, I put this thing up completely against the formers. And I just went ahead and I traced out the outline of the wing saddle. And then also for this back stringer. And then from there, once we get this thing off of the model, for this back stringer, we're just going to go 1/8 down. That way, when we do make that cut, it will be midline of that stringer. Everything else here, we will cut above that outline right there. We don't ever want to cut at the actual line. We always want to cut, give a little bit before, just in case, little wiggle room, just in case. Like for example, this one right here, we know that that's where it's going to end, but we do not want to cut it there. Okay, so we will cut this maybe about right there, give or take. All this will give it about 1/8 of an inch, just in case. We'll cut it all the way around there like that. Doesn't have to necessarily be 1/8, equally all the way around. Same thing with this stringer. We'll go halfway, we'll mark this one and we'll get the halfway mark of that. But yeah, so that's, we're doing this for the remaining of the sheeting, forward to back, from F6 all the way to F1. And so for the F6 joint, we did it the same way we did everything else. We used the chalk method, highlight the end of the sheeting, prop this sheeting over it, press it down, get the outline, and then trace that out, sand it to the line, and you always get a perfect fit. Same with the bottom sheeting all the way through. Same way we did the top sheeting, the same way we're going to do the whole sheeting throughout this whole model. I can come back over here, get a little sanding dust on there, pop my tape over it, pull tight. Tape still holds, okay? The minute I come over here and I make it wet, wipe off any dust with the water, come back on my tape, put my tape over, tape never sticks. Look at that. It just doesn't stick on wet sheeting. Simple as that. I don't know. You could come back over here. You could take a tack cloth, I have the tack cloth outside, but blow all that dust off, still wet, come back over, pop tape over there. Tape doesn't stick to wet sheeting, period. Unless you're using some sort of other sticky tape, but this is high grade automotive tape, so yeah, I got the tape stuck on right now to regular balsa. Of course, it works. You can sand it, you can still put tape over the dust and it will still hold. The minute you make it wet, it just doesn't hold. So it is what it is. I've been doing this since I was 8 years old. And so I've tried many different ways, especially from the Pacific island of Guam, where we don't have the luxury of a lot of things that most folks have stateside. So we have to make do with what we got. And so I've tried to make my life easy with what we have. And so, if I say something on camera, it's because I tried it before. Unless I specifically say I have never done this before. So with this line that I'm doing right now, I'm going halfway, or I'm tracing the stringer Then I'm gonna mark my halfway mark on that one, which is basically 1/8, just to ensure that I am 1/8. We can go ahead and pop this on, verify everything. All right, perfect. Perfect. All right, let's go glue it. What we're gonna do is get one side pushed all the way to this corner, because we want to make sure that this is tight as we can. I'm just gonna go ahead and hold this real quick in the same position that I want it to be. Just kind of keeping everything nice and tight. Just to help me align this. Most of this tape is going to come off when we get to this section anyways, because I'd rather really hold it down with my hand. But right now, what I need this to do is to keep it on the stringer, not pop off. I'm going to go ahead and glue the bottom. Keeping it nice and tight. Okay. And as we move down the line, we're going to go ahead and remove the tape in that general location. Push everything towards the stringer and down. Okay. Don't want to get too far ahead of myself here. So I don't want to just continue putting glue, because as you see, this is not really touching the stringer. So want to just go only so far forward of myself here. There you go. Just by doing this, we're being consistent all the way through. As you can see, pushing down, making sure our sheeting is still against the stringer. Now that we got that, we can concentrate on this part here. And to do this, we're going to utilize Windex. You can use water, like I said before. What we're doing is just making it soak. Then the Windex will just automatically, especially this balsa is really, it's just perfect. And so it doesn't take much. I've tried a certain balsa, don't know what brand or where it came from. I believe they all come from the same place, but this one right here doesn't take much to really get this thing going to form. I want to show you this side over here. Check out this seam right here, or the butt joint. That one right there is just, that is very tight. Really nice. But yeah, so just like that. I mean, look at it. The sheeting is already conforming to the side of the fuselage. I'm not even doing much to it right now at this point. It's doing it all on its own. Simple. All right. So from here, we're going to go ahead and just start adding glue and get it all attached to the stringer and formers. And the weather right now is crazy. Doesn't look like I'm going to be flying the Mustang this weekend, that's for sure. We got that. Yeah, there's a tropical depression, and it's passing the island. But even with that said, we're getting all the bad weather from it. And it's Friday today. It doesn't look like it's gonna stop. I don't think by Sunday, that's for sure. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wick in some more glue here, because apparently eventually we're gonna have to come back and wick in some thin CA. So we're going to, I cut the sheeting, already edge glued the bottom. Now we're just about to go ahead and soak the sheeting so that we can get it formed up. All right. Cool. All right. Let's go let that soak for a little bit. Let's go ahead and practice it. Let it start forming to the stringers and to the former. Okay. Looking good, looking good. Let's go ahead and continue wetting this part right here. This particular sheeting is just a little bit, I guess it feels like a little bit grainier, if that makes any sense. Okay. All right, let's go. Get some medium CA down in here on the stringers, on the former. It's raining hard out there. This weekend is pretty much doomed for flying. Let's go start getting this thing up here. Go wet this one more. I think I've done everything that I can do for now. That's not going to interfere with the completion of the fuselage. And so we can't sheet the bottom because we need the control rod guide tubes so we can insert them. And that's en route through USPS. So once we get that, then we can go ahead and install that, finish it all up, and then go ahead and sheet the bottom. So in the meantime, I went ahead and I shaped the block for the tail. It's just roughly shaped. You can see it's still kind of high and everything. But once we sheet this, then we can final sand this. And then we can also kind of hollow it out slightly to get, lighten it up. So I was also thinking of using this as a plug and fiberglassing the piece. So that might be another option. Don't know yet. The other thing I did was I epoxied the wing bolt blocks in place. I also attached the servo plate by screws, and then I also assembled the plastic cowling, all the pieces, minus these. I haven't done this one yet. I need to cut them out. This is the cowling, and so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this out, get it all attached to this, and then there's not much we can do from there. I may attach the firewall and get all that situated and glue that on as well. I got the DLE 55RA that's going to be installed into here. And so I decided that we're just going to stick with the DLE 55 for this model. So I have it on hand, so might as well use it. That's all we can do for now in regards to the fuselage. So we're waiting for the control rods, and then we're also waiting for the retracts. And I ordered Robart retracts, tail, main, air, and then the control rods, and also micro balloons and all this other stuff. Everything that was ordered, it's en route. It's just the latest update for all my tracking is July. Since I really can't do much, I'm still just finding things to do. And if I can do it, then I'll do my best. Let's use this side. And then I made the inside door portion, which should fit in there. And it says to glue this to this like that. All this is going to get glued on. So you glue the back side first, and then you glue that around like that. Um, think, and then you would sand this. And so I think this should come into a taper slightly, if I'm not mistaken. That's the only way this is really gonna sit on there properly. And the thing I'm trying to figure out is based on the measurements. They provide you a I believe this is 2 5/8 this way, and it's by, excuse me, 12 inches long. So this is it. That's 12 inches right there. This whole thing. And in the manual, they give you all these measurements, right? Measurements for the door, measurements for each piece, the measurement exactly where to bend. And then they tell you, you make these parts out of the same sheet. So there's 4 of these. So I need to make 2 more. And then there's this front door piece that goes right in the front like that. They say also to make it out of the same sheet. There's no more material after I figure out a good way to save material. Place this like that, maybe. Even if I did that. And so I would still need 2 more pieces, 2 5/8 width by 1 3/4, if I'm not mistaken. So these tick marks, just imagine the lines going up. So I need that piece, this and this. So even if you were to take those 2, cut these out, those pieces, this leftover piece right here from this line, from that line over, it's not enough to make 4 of these. So what material are they talking about? What other 2 5/8 by 12-inch ABS are they talking about? This is the only ABS that's in there. So I figured I'll use the leftover portions of the cowling to make the front door. Other than that, you can't make it out of the same 12-inch sheet. Make all these parts. There's just no way. Unless I read the instructions over and over. And I swear, even if I were to, you can't go this way to save more space. So it doesn't matter which direction I put it at this point, it's gonna eat into these 2 doors that I need. So yeah, go figure how that works out. And that's directly from the manual. It has nothing to do with Planes Revive. It's the manual the kit was reproduced from. The manual is a direct Top Flight manual, so it is what it is, I guess. So this one I'm trying to figure out, because they say this needs to get glued in, and then this needs to get sanded flush with the fuselage, so then it kind of acts, it makes a little lip out of this. I have a feeling this has to be beveled also, this outer sheeting. That's what I'm thinking. It needs to follow this bevel for it to have meat here, for it to glue to this, for it then to be able to get sanded. So I think I'm going to do that, even if it doesn't stipulate that on the manual. And there's all those measurements for the door opening. This is the measurement for this. And those are the cutouts that we need to make, and that's that door I'm talking about. I need to make 2 of these. There's no more material after this and that. There ain't no more material for that. And it says to take it out of the ABS sheet, which is the 2 5/8 by 12-inch ABS sheet. And there's only 1 sheet in this kit, so I have no idea what the hell they're talking about. Just making that straight. I don't know if this needs to be beveled as well. Because this, when I cut this out, this is going to go in there. I'm trying to figure out, does it go on top of this plastic doohickey thing? Because this would match up with that. It should. A little bit more of a bend there. But it should line up just like that. So if I did that, I would have to then bevel. Something like that. I would have to bevel that. And that would give it something to glue onto. I got all the parts made to create this. However, I'm on the fence right now on actually doing this at this point. I was thinking maybe I'll just do this part right here. We'll glue this in, get that thing nice and centered in between, everything, and then glue this down to the sheeting so we can sand it and get that little taper, and we'll call it good until we actually ready to glass the model. Because the other way to do that is basically to build it up, is to do that, put the little cutouts, top and bottom, and then put the actual door thing and complete it. We're still able to glass it and everything. That's not an issue, but it's just easier with this. The rest of it is not on it. So I'm still debating. But I know at least doing it this way, if I glassed it without any of this done at the moment, then let's say, for example, this is all glassed. Then I come back in and I glue this in, and then we glue that on. Then I still need to sand this to match the fuse. So just imagine the glass, the resin, I'm sanding that to match it in. So, or do this now while it's still just plain balsa, sand it, blend it in, and then when we glass it continuous all the way in, or at least up to the line, and then we'll trim it. And then we'll just sand the glass and feather it into the plastic. I think that's the more reasonable route, I say. It's just not building it up is not reasonable. I don't think building it up at this point right now, getting everything all decked out, is, I don't know. Would have been nice if this was a molded piece and all you had to do is cut the hole out, and then this whole thing was already molded and glued in as one whole piece type deal, and all you did was just glue it in. That I think would have been good. I think the ARF is like a little cover with a little door looking thing on it. This one, at least, this one goes in to the fuse, so it's a little bit more scale looking. Right now it's just all busy work. It's okay. Yeah, screw it. I'm gonna glue it in, damn it. So everything back here is scuffed up. I scuffed it all up. I think I'm gonna put, should I put CA in? Nah, never mind. Okay, so here we go. Center it as much as I can. Just like that. Push it back. Okay. This will get glued on with that right here on the back side. Before we do that, let's just see this piece. Okay. All right. That's glued in already. I don't know how this is really going to work, but you will see. Okay. Just add some kicker there. And then now this needs to get sanded to match the fuse. Same time, try not to over sand anything. I think it's good. And then this will get glued in right here. It's smooth. Top is good. This bottom still has a little bit of a lip there because that would give this room to go in. There you go, like that. See? So I'm not too sure if that's how that one's supposed to be, but I think I'm going to do it that way. So with this top one, I'm gluing this down. Oh shit. Well, of course I'm gonna move. Okay. So just like that. It's gonna end up being like that. I don't like that gap there. Maybe I'll fill that in. Let's see. Let's see, but I like how this goes in there. Okay. Push that in slightly. Feels as if I can trim this bottom piece slightly. Here, but then if I do that, it might be too far down now. Let's see if I do this. I slide it underneath it. And slide this back. That kind of gives it what I need. Alrighty, guys. So what I'm doing right now is basically taking the triangle stock. It's basically a basswood triangle stock, which is half inch by 24 inch, and utilizing that to make the firewall reinforcement triangle stock. So this is going to go right inside in the four corners of the firewall attachment to the crutch. Okay. So I went ahead and I epoxied the firewall in. I also added some screws, epoxied, drilled it in, and then epoxied the screws in as well in all four sides. And so I just went ahead and I just finished making this up. So I'm just going to be brushing on some 30-minute epoxy in there. Yep, it is what it is. And then I'll just get my rag and put some alcohol and everything on it. Kind of wipe all that up, make it look nice and clean. Alrighty. Diluted some 30-minute epoxy and brushed it all over in the inside of the fuel tank deck, fuel tank roof and floor, and surrounding crutches to include the back of the firewall. So that's all going to be fuel proof. So I did that now. Also the sheeting right up in that area, kind of did that just in case. I mean, the whole fuel tank is going to be within this area right here, so should be pretty much everything right in this part, but that's up top. So most of the time the fuel will soak the bottom side. So yeah, might have to fuel proof backside of this. Don't know yet. Don't think so. Never had any issues with that. But yeah, the whole front end is going to get fuel proofed, of course. And we'll do that after we sheet everything and close everything. Once the control rods show up, we get to finish routing all the control rods in. And then, of course, fitting the retractable tail wheel and putting all the airlines in. And as you can see right here in the corners, these two, those two in the way back, those are 1/8 holes that I had drilled to route my airlines all the way to the back. All right, cool. So, and I drilled those while, all this was still wide open. I mean, this is not being glued in. I can still take this off. So, just stuck my drill down there and drill out them holes. Totally forgot about that when I was, not really totally forgot, but wasn't too sure where I was going to drill the holes for the airlines when all the formers were on the table. So now that I had it in, I could actually see and visualize where the tank would be. Of course, the tank's gonna be in the middle, but how everything would run in there. So that's when I decided to drill out. I went ahead and I cut a square stock and made it into a triangle stock, glued it underneath here for more area for the wing bolt block to glue onto. Because if I was really just going to rely on this thin edge and this thin edge, which it sits in, right? We're just going to rely on that. That doesn't seem to me that much glue area. Yes, I understand this part, but like in this area right here where all the pressure is being put at, it'll pop off here, if worst case scenario. So since I know this is locked in place, give it more area for the block to get glued onto. So once everything is good, which is it is right now, I'm gonna go ahead and sand this flush, and then we will kind of round off a little bit of this, and then we're good to go. And just wait for the rest of the things to show up. Because once we get the control rods and the airlines and everything, the retracts, I mean, this is gonna go. It's gonna go quick. So in less than a day and a half, I'll probably have the fuse fully sheeted and the wing completely done. So, yeah, maybe 2 days. I'm giving myself too much credit there. But yeah, other than that, all I'm doing right now is just busy work. Just doing the little things that I think we can take care of now without needing the full wing on, or the full fuselage and stuff like that. So I don't think me gluing in the firewall at this point is going to be in the way of anything else I need to do from here on out. So that's the reason why I went ahead and I did that. And if it is so that I didn't, this firewall shouldn't be in until after everything's done, then I will surely find out at this point. But I don't think it's going to involve anything dealing with fully sheeting this and this. So we're good. And like I said in the beginning of in part 4 of the video, I didn't glue this former to the sheet because this is the cutout for the interior kit. This whole section is for the interior kit. So I didn't bother gluing the sheeting to this former. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and just open up my cockpit portion for now. And all I'm doing is just following the existing laser cut lines and just extending it all the way. As you can see what I'm doing here. Nothing special. Just cutting through. Okay. So I also ordered the brass square stock that you use for the rails. And so just waiting for that to show up as well. Once that comes in, I can go ahead and figure out my sliding canopy. So what I'm thinking of doing is, let me get a piece of balsa to kind of mimic or represent a brass square stock. So for example, this is the brass square stock. I'm going to go ahead and cut down the middle with the Dremel cutting wheel, and it's going to get placed in a specific area depending on where this canopy lines up at. So for example, here I'm going to have to build the canopy part up here. So I'm going to have to cut this and install this, glue this thing completely on, and get it to conform to the fuse. All right, this is going to go on there just like so, as centered as possible. I'm thinking I'm also going to use a heat gun. Be very careful. I'm going to heat this portion up right here because it's kind of widening up back here. So even if this was pulled down towards the rail, this, so where were we? I had to go answer the house phone. But anywho, Okay, so yeah, I need to heat this up and kind of bring this back end of this canopy. I need to close this side up like that, slightly like that. Because even if this down here was attached to the rail, this kind of bows out. And so it's not really in line with the canopy fairing. And so, I mean, I could deal with it, but I will just put a little bit of heat and kind of just form this. If I could get it tighter like that, then perfect. You know, I'm good. Even if it has a slight opening, that's fine. Okay, so as you can see where the sheeting is at there, I'm going to put one of these quarter by quarter stringers. I'm going to embed it in here further down because this is where the brass stock is going to glue onto. Okay. Ideally, this is something that you want to do before it's sheeted, but because, you know, it is what it is, you still can do it after. That's fine. It's just a little bit more time consuming, more work. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that down in there. Of course, it's going to be, I'm going to kind of keep it like that. And so the brass stock will get placed on top of this, and it's going to be flush mounted with the sheeting all the way from roughly about this point straight forward. Maybe stop somewhere around here. It doesn't need to go all the way to touch this. Okay. So just imagine this being the rail. I would place it somewhere like right here, and I'll stop right here, right about here. Okay. So that way, when this thing is on here and it's connected up at the front and maybe about right here. So these will be the 4 points of contact. These two right here and these two in the front. So just remember that the rail goes all the way to here. So where my finger is at is where one of the points are at, the balls. So if it slides, it will stop right about there. So that's how far back the canopy will open. Just imagine this is cut right here. So I think that's about right. And then when it slides close, it will come and slide right back up to here and stop. Okay, that's my plan. Now I just need to wait until that brass stock arrives so that I can measure things out, do all that, figure out how the mounting is going to go because this is going in on a slant. It's not like the P40 or the P51 where it just went straight down on the side and then the balls were put into the rails this way. This is more of a slant now, so I'm also going to have to figure out how I'm going to get the ball ends to also slant here. So if I have to build up a little triangle stock rail in here just so I can mount that, then that's exactly what I'm going to do. But yeah, so we'll figure it out eventually. It's just, you know, you have to kind of think of these things. You know, I've been dreaming about it. You know, I'm playing it over in my head. It's the only way I'm going to be able to really put it into reality is imagination in my head and then going through the steps, the motions, and then also from the experience from the P51 Mustang and also the P40 sliding canopies. So yeah, I have no doubt that it'll be successful. It's just you only got one shot, okay? And so if I make a mistake in the cut or whatever, it's gonna look like garbage after, because I'm gonna end up having to either fill things back up, patch it all up. It's not gonna be noticeable once it's glass and painted and all that stuff. Yeah, I got you, but I'm anal when it comes to the sheeting looking, like decent. But it is what it is. And so that's the plan. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm just cutting. I don't have the interior kit yet. I haven't ordered it yet, because I'm not made out of money, and so um, I already ordered a whole bunch of other things that I need to finish the build, the cockpit kit and everything like that. That can always come after. But like after the whole frame is done and all we need to do is final sand and glass, I could start with and concentrate on the interior kit. But in the meantime, we're just going to go ahead and separate this thing and get this thing completely opened up. That way we can do bigger and better things. Yeah. And we're also expecting another typhoon to hit the Mariana Islands, the Mariana area. So Guam, Saipan, Tinian, Rota type deal. We don't know exactly what island is going to get hit the most at this point, but for sure we're all connected in the weather system here. So one island gets affected, of course the other islands will as well. We're not going to have good weather. So unfortunately, my second flight for my Mustang hasn't been done yet, because since it became ready to fly, just the weather's been bad, or I ended up being in so much pain that I couldn't even go to the field. So it is what it is, guys. Life is peachy. I can't complain. Cut this in the middle. Separate this, because I didn't glue the sheeting to the center former, so we're good there. The whole point of not gluing it there was because you're gonna lift it off just like that. So if I had glued it, I'm gonna end up having to break it all off from here. So there you go. When you take the canopy and you cut it out of the box and sit it over your Razorback portion, the fairing, and the fuselage, the rear end here of the canopy is so flared out, okay, that it takes adhesive and some tape and everything to hold it against the fuselage and keep it nice and keep this back end tight against the fairing. Now, if you're going to glue the canopy, then the steps that I'm about to show you here doesn't matter, because when you glue it, you're going to be gluing every point of contact on the canopy right down on the fuse, and so the glue is going to hold everything. But if you're going to do what I'm about to do, is cut this, separate the back canopy with the front, and make this a sliding canopy, you need this canopy, especially this rear end, to hug and keep nice and tight on this Razorback area where the fairing is at. You can't do that out of the box, because even if you were to do the railings, separate this, make it a sliding canopy, without doing what I'm about to do, these areas can be held down with the rail, but back here will still flare out, or it'll bowl like this. Okay, so it looks ugly. So what you do You got to be very careful doing this, especially if you only have one canopy. You come over here, you get your heat gun, and you get this portion, this area right here, you get this nice and warm, not sagging or melted and anything, but warm. And you can do this slowly. Don't rush it. The last thing you need is to melt this whole piece and then it crumbles up. Okay, so all you're trying to do is just get it nice and hot so that you can hold it, kind of over compress it like this, let it cool, and then when you release it, it will spring back to whatever situation it's at, right? You don't want to completely pinch it because you don't want to put a crease here. So you put heat, you know, if it's way too soft, you're going to know real quick, because then your plastic here would sag, would dip, and it'll curl up and it'll look ugly. So don't put too much heat, don't melt it. So, you know, so you just got to know, you got to just be very careful. You know, when in doubt, just better to pull away from this and slowly work it. And then you let it go and it's still kind of bowing out, then come back, apply heat again, you know, and do it little by little until you get where you need to be. And so I went ahead and I heat this up. I got it to where it was just about melting point, just about. I can tell because I put my finger here and I can feel the plastic wanting to move a little bit. And then it was easy to just kind of squeeze it. And so I squeezed this portion while I put my finger right here to keep this area from pinching or folding. So I put my finger like this, I went like that, and I held it until it cooled. Okay, it was to a point where it's hot, but not hot enough to it's gonna burn my finger. But then again, my fingers they're calloused up and everything like that. So my sensitivity level is a little different. So I went ahead and I held it like this, waiting for it to cool, and then once it was cool, I let it removed everything, let it go, and it just sprung back that way. It didn't go all the way up. And this portion here, if this portion is also bowing, then you can also heat the whole thing up, put it over your area, and hold it until it cools. Hold this portion really flat against your fairing. Let it cool, and then check it. If it's still bowing, leave it on your model, put heat, and then just continue holding it until it cools and check it again. Once this portion from here to here is no longer bowing like this, like coming outwards, and it's straight, then all you have to do to get everything to really conform and hug this portion is this area right here, like the one I was showing you earlier, by heating this portion up right here and then just slowly closing it like this, putting pressure here so it doesn't crease on you, and just do that number. And then let off. Then when you come back and you put this thing on, I no longer have to come over here and squeeze it together just to touch this. I can put the canopy down, and once I take you guys over here to see, you're gonna see that the whole back end of the canopy is touching all the way around. And that is exactly what I need. Okay. As you can see up here, of course, once we situate the railing down in here and we get it to the proper location where that line is depicting the bottom portion of that rail, this will eventually get pushed down further like that. But look, I'm not even pushing the sides to the side of the fairing. It's just hugging it. like a glove. And let it go. It ain't moving nowhere. It's hugging that back end. Okay. And so when I have the railing in here, it's going to go from this point to about right there. My ball links or ball ends is going to be placed right in here, maybe about a 1/4 inch from this former right here and right up in the front, right about. I can mark it right there, and now it'll be completely aligned with that. You see what I'm saying? So it'll be that third dot, and this dot will be the mounting situation. And so when it slides close, all the way until it gets about right here. So that's exactly where it'll be at. It'll be right here and right there. And that's more than enough to keep this canopy from flying off. Okay. And so if I put my finger in that mark and hold this down, this back end is still hugging that fairing. If that makes any sense. Because this back end, we don't really need anything to hold this portion down. And plus, we can't do anything about that really at this point, because unless you're going to extend your rails all the way to back here, which doesn't look scale at all, to be able to put a ball end right here in this corners. And then by doing that as well, when you slide this back, it's going to be hugging this area and squeezing just like that. So it doesn't, I mean, it would work, but it won't look good when it's closed, because then the rail's all the way out here. From here to there, that's long. So it doesn't make sense. So if you do the heat gun thing, just be very gentle with the canopy. Don't ruin it, because it would suck to ruin the canopy and the only canopy you have. Good thing about it is that if you do, you can easily purchase another one. So if you do plan to do a sliding canopy and it's your first time maybe, then I suggest to order a second canopy ahead of time, so that in case you mess it up, you have a backup. Other than that, if you're only going to use the one, then take your time, do it slow, and get the results that you're really after. So just like that. So yeah, just waiting for my my square brass rails, not rails, but brass stock to show up. I ordered from Amazon assorted. I ordered 2 packs, because in the assorted they only give you one of each size. So and they're 12 inches long. So I ordered 2 packs of that. So if I get, you know, one certain size, it could go from there to here, and still have the other pack to get that same size to be used for the other side. But once we get that on, get that order here, just waiting for it to get delivered, not delivered, but travel from place of origin to here, Pacific Island, Guam. Once we get that in, I will basically do a whole video on the sliding canopy built up. Alrighty, what I'm doing right now is just basically making the cowl ring and the mounts. And so each mount, I adjusted it where we can slide the mounts in and out more than what the manual said. It said 3/8 of an inch to make the hole there oblong. I made it a little bit longer. That way we can get more movement in that for now, just for setup. And then once everything is, the cowl is actually permanently in the right spot, then we can come back and glue these in. Provided that I am going, if I'm gonna do the functional flower flaps type deal, then these things are gonna go bye-bye anyway. So, but in this case, we're building it as stock as we can for now, and then we'll see what we do in the future. And yeah, and so as you can see, we didn't glue the bottom section yet because we need to sheet the rest first. So before we can actually glue the rest of the cowl ring, we have to sheet this, and then we can go ahead and glue that. But for now, I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. Alrighty, cool. All right, guys. So that pretty much concludes the video, part 5 of the giant scale P47 Razorback at this moment. Until we get the control rods and the airlines, there's not much we can do for the fuselage at this point. And so when those items arrive, then we can go ahead and install, get that situated, and then go ahead and sheet the bottom of the actual fuselage and get this completely done. Also retracts, still waiting for that. The tail wheel retracts for this, the Robart. I ordered that together with the main. Basically came with the mains and the tail wheel gear set. So they're not electric, they're air, so you know that's pretty cool as well. Other than that, we're just going to go ahead and start on the wing. We're going to go ahead and start building up the wing panel. We'll start off with the right wing panel and then eventually work on the left. And once we get that situated, then depending where we're at, if we have the retracts on hand, then we'll continue pushing forward. If we don't, then the wing will also be at a standstill because you can only go so far before you actually need the retracts on hand. So we can't sheet the bottom of the wing. So if we don't get the control rods, the airlines, or the retracts anytime soon, then the build basically stops. We're going to go ahead and start on the wing. So I got to get started on that, clean everything up here, and then start getting the materials and the plans and everything like that for the wing to get started. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It's kind of like all over the place, to be honest, because we couldn't really do much. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions, don't forget to leave it in the comments. And also appreciated the comments in regards to the micro balloons in the last video. And I went ahead and I placed my order through Tower Hobbies. I'm also waiting for it. Should be here Monday. So other than that, we'll go ahead and sign off. All right, guys, you have a good one. Don't forget to click that like, subscribe to the channel, share the videos, leave a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Shoo-shoo!